Sachin, 1 minute. Namaskar. Hello and welcome to PGurus channel. I'm your host, Sree Iyer. It's not often that we get to talk to General Rajiv about, his 𝗤𝗂𝘅. And today, I thought we will talk about the role of King Shalya. What was the kind of person he was? Because many of us kind of misunderstand him. To get a true perspective, you need to go back to where he was from, how he grew up, what happened, and after that, all the consequences. So I requested Major General Rajiv to do the research. It's been a few weeks in making, and finally we have it here. Let's welcome General Rajiv. General Rajiv, namaskar and welcome to PGurus channel.
Namaskaram, sir. Always a pleasure. Like you said, yes, had to dig a lot to get something on him to be able to speak on your platform. And he's a very interesting character. And there are a lot of lessons in present day life that we can draw from his character. Who he was, and how the gradual change took place in him.
In a matter of 18 days.
Yes. So I will start with the... Yeah. So now let us understand where he comes from. His kingdom of Madra is present day Punjab, and the capital, which is called Sagala, is present day Sialkot. Pandu's second wife is his sister, Madri, and she comes from here. And of course, we know her sons are Nakul and Sahdev. Now, this is in our 𝗤𝗂𝘅, this is a very, very, very ancient kingdom founded by King 𝗤𝘃𝗍. I hope people who have read our 𝗤𝗂𝘅 and Puranas know about 𝗤𝘃𝗍, who started saving the bird from the bird of prey, and it wanted equivalent amount of meat, and he was cutting off his own flesh and putting it in the weighing scale. So he is a descendant of Anu, and Anu is the son of Yayati. Yayati, we all know, is the king who wanted to stay young, and then he gave it to his son Yadu. Nobody...
I seem to have momentarily lost General Rajiv. We'll wait for the connection to come back. Chennai is still recovering from floods, and we thought we were safe today, but clearly there are still some challenges, but he will come back. Viewers, if you have not liked this video yet, please do consider liking it. And also, if you have not subscribed to our channel, do consider subscribing to it. So as he was explaining, we are looking at one character, Shalya, who has been, in my opinion, misunderstood and therefore maligned because he was tricked at the time of whose side he was supposed to be joining in the war. So this is the basic concept. But what General Rajiv did was to do a deep dive to understand where he was from, what were the linkages, and how things played out. And in those 18 days, what came upon Shalya. So he's just rejoining us now. General Rajiv, yes, sir.
I've come on my mobile.
Sir, no worries, sir. I will get you I will load this thing for you.
Okay. No, my
slide deck for you. Just 1 second.
Yeah.
Okay. You're connected in 2 places. You may want to log off on your. Yeah, got it. Good. Sir, I will load the PowerPoint because that way it will reduce the load on your computer.
Yes. Okay. No, I think because of the floods, the internet connection fluctuates.
Yeah. So what I did was I'm loading the PowerPoint, so the load is reduced on your side.
Okay.
There you go. Yeah. There you go.
So this is it's a very ancient kingdom founded by 𝗤𝘃𝗍. King 𝗤𝘃𝗍 is very famous, who started cutting his own flesh to feed the lion because he wanted to save that animal, and who's a descendant of Anu, who's the son of Yayati. Yayati, who have read Mahabharat, would know he was a king who didn't want to become old. and none of his kids would take over his old age, and his youngest son Yadu. So that is another history. So basically, this kingdom was founded in Treta Yuga. That's how old it is. And in the time of Mahabharata, it was very well known for having very good trained war elephants. It was famous for training war elephants. Normal thing and elephants in war, the training is very different. And now we are talking of Kuru, and you can see in this map of all the kingdoms that were there during Mahabharata times. It is within India and outside in the neighborhood also. There are two Kurus which have been given, east and west. So eastern Kuru is Hastinapur, which was on the river Ganga, which is near present day Meerut, ruled by Duryodhan then. And west Kuru is on the Yamuna, present day supposed to be near Delhi, which is Indraprastha, which was ruled by Yudhishthir. So that's why you find east and west Kuru. Next, we can go to the next slide. Yeah. Now, who was Shalya? He was a very well-trained and calm and a deliberate fighter. A very powerful spear fighter, a formidable charioteer. And this will come later, how he used that. He was not very big in size like Bhim or Duryodhan, yet despite his slight build, he was excellent in mace fighting, Gada Yudh. Legend says that he was also one of the suitors during the Swayamvar of Kunti. But Kunti chose Pandu. But Bhishma had a lot of respect for Shalya as a person. So he was very keen that Madra and Kuru combined together. And so he arranged Pandu's wedding with his Shalya's sister Madri. That was the background. And Shalya was very, very fond of his own nephews, more than his own sons, the three sons that he had, Rukmangada, Rukmartha, and Madranjaya. He was very fond of Nakul and Sahadev. And years after Madri went, immolated herself on the pyre with her husband, Pandu, it took a lot of convincing, but he anointed Nakul and Sahadev as his heirs, not his sons. But they had a condition that they would always stay with the rest of Pandavas. That they would not come even after he died and they were the rulers of Madra, they will not come to Sagala. They would stay in Hastinapur, which he agreed. So this tells you how close he had become to the Pandavas. He had a lot of respect for the Pandavas. Pandavas respected him a lot. Initially, Nakul and Sahadev thought he had an ulterior motive, but finally they were convinced that no, all this he is doing is because of his love for the Pandavas, and the Pandavas respected him a lot. So what happened? Next,
please.
Now, how was he tricked? See, in the Mahabharata, when you read it, you find it's a very interesting thing. Mahabharata also. There are 18 parvas or 18 chapters in the Mahabharata. Okay. The Mahabharata was fought for 18 days. And the total number of Akshavinis, which you roughly could relate it to a corps today, army corps, they were 18. 11 with the Kauravas and 7 with the Pandavas. Duryodhan was always keen on quantity, if I may put it, but the Pandavas were keen on quality. Like even when they went to Krishna, Arjun only wanted Krishna, whereas Duryodhan was very keen on the Yadava Akshavinis. He was not interested in Krishna, which tells you that it was not the quality but the quantity that they wanted. And if we relate it to today, China is looking at only quantity and not quality.
Naveen Mahabharat.
Yeah. So when he was coming from Sagala towards Kurukshetra, Duryodhana had laid the trap because he had one Akshaunis. When you add this all up, 21,870 chariots, that's what an Akshauni has. 21,870 elephants, war elephants, 65,610 cavalry horses, and 1,09,350 infantry. When you add all this, it comes to over 2 lakh troops. And that is equivalent to our core. So he had laid up camps for him everywhere, and he was feeding him. Because he was not interested in anything. He was interested in this one Akshauni, that it should not go towards the Pandava side. And since he had eaten, and when he found out, he didn't try to find out. He thought that it was Yudhishthir doing it. And in those days, if you had eaten somebody's food, you had to honor his request. So when he asks him, Duryodhan says, you have to join me. So he tells the Pandava camp, of course, Arjun, Nakul, Sahdev and all were very angry with him, but Yudhishthir calms them down, and he says, okay, that's the fate. But he requests him to be, like I said, he was an excellent charioteer, that you be Karna's charioteer. And whenever he needs, and when needed, demoralize him by praising the opponent and give incorrect advice on the use of celestial weapons. So in the first 13 days, nothing much, but because of the food he gives, like English, there is a saying, you show me your friends, I'll tell you your character. And we lay a lot of stress on the food we eat. It is not just how or who is cooking the food. It also relates to how the food is grown, who has brought it, with what kind of money and with what thought have you bought it, and who is the one who is cooking and with what thought he is cooking. Everything comes into that plate when you're going to eat it, and you are affected by food morally. We are not talking of the stomach and the physical thing. We are talking of your spiritual and your moral conduct. You get affected. So within the first 13 days, you see that he had promised he will be looking out for the Pandavas, yet he kills Virat's son, Uttar Kumar. And Virat, in revenge, kills his youngest son, Madaranjaya. So the decline of Shalya has already started because of the company he kept and the food he ate. Next. So Abhimanyu kills his other two sons, Rukmangad and Rukumartha. Now, we all know what happened after that. Abhimanyu was surrounded and killed by breaking all the rules. Karna himself fired from the back when Abhimanyu was actually fighting Dushasan's son. And that was when Karna also broke the rules, and he fired the arrow from the back and broke his bow. And when they surrounded him and they killed him with their swords, Karna had plunged his sword into his back. That was what, when Karna was trying to preach to Arjun, Lord Krishna had laughed at him and told him what you had done, and you cannot have the right to practice. And look at him. He tried to, because Jayadratha was the one who had prevented others from reaching Abhimanyu. Arjun had taken a pledge that he will either kill Jayadratha that day before sundown, or he will quit the battle. He was preventing Arjun from going to Jayadratha. And Virat was with him. He defeats Virat. It is on the 16th day that he becomes the charioteer of Karna, and throughout he kept denigrating him. And that is when, as we discussed, he advised him to use the celestial weapon Ashwasena, that is actually the Nagban, on his chest. He had advised him correctly. But since he had been demoralizing him, and even in their talks when they were planning and coordinating for the next day's battle at night, he would always denigrate them. He thought that he's telling me the wrong thing, and he aims for Arjun's head. And Lord Krishna could save him because he presses the chariot down and it misses. But the manner in which Karna had fought, he thought that Karna was a good chap. So after Karna's death on 17th day, he accepts to become the commander-in-chief of the Kauravas army. Look at how the graph has plunged. And fought till Yudhishthir is the one who killed him, because others were planning to go, and Lord Krishna had advised that he is a very calm and controlled fighter, and you can say that he uses gamesmanship to irritate the other person, opponent, like what cricketers do, no, sledging and all, that type. That was Shalya. And he said that if you get irritated because of the way he is fighting, you will never be able to defeat him, because he is becoming stronger. He is not affected by your sledging. You are affected by his sledging. Others never sledged. So he was the one who advised Yudhishthir that you should fight because you have a very calm demeanor and you're not affected by his sledging. And he killed him with the spear, because Yudhishthir was also a very good fighter with the spear. Okay. Now, next.
Sir, if
Next
I
slide.
could beg your indulgence, before we
Yeah.
go to this next slide, can we go back to the previous slide, please? I have a couple of observations, because there is so much that we read from Mahabharata that some of the nuances, we need to bring them all in also to understand. See, the Nagastra was not the first choice of weapon for Karna to kill Arjuna. It was something else. So what happened was, I think if I remember correctly, General Rajiv, there were 2 days when fighting went through the night, Mahabharata war. And in one of them, there was the son of Bhima called 𝗏𝗏𝗏.
Yeah, 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏. He is Pashupati Astra was the one reserved for Arjun, and he's forced to use the Pashupati Astra on 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 because the kind of devastation he was doing to the army. They kept telling him to use. He said no, till suddenly he realized that. Ultimately, he realized that if there is no army left with the Kauravas, what will he do? So he's forced to use the Pashupati Astra there. And that is how he didn't have that Astra at the end when he faced Arjun.
And of course, he would have learned the Brahmastra from, I think, Parashurama. And then when that's the other story. Sir, if you could just
Parashurama he had learned, but Parashurama he had gone and told him a lie that I am a Brahmin. And when Parashurama was lying on his resting and sleeping with his head resting on his thigh, a hornet had come and started biting him and blood was flowing. And it was the warm blood which touched Parashurama, and he got up and he said, you cannot be a Brahmin if Brahmin cannot sustain this pain. So then he tells him who he is, and he tells him that, okay, you have learnt this, but you will lose it, all the memory for using the most important weapon, the Brahmastra, at the time when you need it. That was the curse he gave him. So that's why he was never able to use the Brahmastra. He couldn't remember.
Sir, my recollection of how this plays out is Shalya advises him, aim at Arjuna's chest, and Karna doesn't. And then what happens is you're two rathas, right? One coming towards you and you're passing it. The two pass because, Krishna, puts the thing down. So Arjuna escapes. So they cross. Now, when he has to turn around and come for the next round, what happens is his wheel gets stuck in the mud.
Exactly that place where Lord Krishna had pressed Arjuna's rathas down. So that khadda was there. That is where his wheel got stuck. Arjuna's
and
Ratha's wheel didn't get stuck because Lord Krishna was there. That's why I say quality.
so it is that point that Shalya says, okay, you did not listen to me, your end is near, and he just walks away from there. This is how I remember that part of the episode. So what I was trying to tell our viewers, General Rajiv, is that Karna had the choice of two really big weapons, and the Nagastra was his third one.
Third weapon.
And see, that's where destiny plays a hand. He gives Kunti a vow that you will always have 5 sons. So he doesn't go after any other.
He said that he is going to fight basically Arjun. He won't leave Arjun.
Yes.
Others, so whether he lives or Arjun lives, she will always have 5 sons. That is why, though he has defeated almost all others in battle in Mahabharata, he never killed them. He let them go.
Yes, actually, viewers, if you want to know more details about the various battles of Karna, where he lets go of all the Pandavas, read Ami Ganatra's book, Mahabharata Unraveled. And very fascinating, lesser known stories about Mahabharata she has addressed there. Very, very good book. Let's go to the next slide, sir. I yield the floor back to you. I just thought that we should add all these other things. Mahabharata is a life lesson.
Now, best is, why did Shalya change his mind during Mahabharata war? What happened? So he begins with being anti-Kaurava. Now, despite fighting initially, he is anti them, keeps denigrating them every night when they get together for their war council. Yet by the 16th day, he starts seeing goodness where there is no goodness. He likes Karna despite being witness to the manner in which he was also party to Abhimanyu being killed. And like we discussed, Karna only spared his brother's lives as promised to his mother Kunti, except that of Arjun. Now, one I have already said, the company you keep, it affects your character, your thinking. But our scriptures lay, like I said, very important stress on not just the food you eat, but also the ingredients, how the ingredients are bought, how it is grown, how it is cooked. And he had eaten Kaurava food for 2 weeks. So gradually his own mind also started getting polluted. And so my assessment is he was influenced by the food he ate and the company he kept. These are very, very critical. Next slide. I will now this is a shloka. First part, second part I will chant. There are 2 separate shlokas in Bhagavad Gita, as Lord Krishna had explained to Arjun before the start of the Mahabharata. And this is chapter 4, verse 24. Brahmarpanam brahmahavir brahmagno brahmanahutam brahmaiva tena gantavyam brahma karma samadhina. So this it says for those who are completely absorbed in God consciousness, whatever is the oblation. Oblation is not just yajna. Eating our food in ancient times was also considered a yajna, because the ingredients that you're giving in is to Agni, which is in your stomach, the fire which burns your food, the acid which is there. So it is considered as a yajna. So the oblation is Brahman, the ladle, the spoon or the hand with which you are offering is Brahman. The act of offering is Brahman. The sacrificial fire which is in the stomach is also Brahman. So when you chant this, and then comes the second part, which is in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 5, verse 4. Aham Vaishvanaro Bhutva Praninam Deham Ashritaha Pranapana Pachamyannam Samayukta Pachamyannam Chaturvidham. So the whole chant is Brahmarpanam Brahmakavir Brahmagno Brahmanahutam Brahmaiva Tena Gantavyam Brahma Karma Samadhina Aham Vaishvanaro Bhutva Pranina Deham Ashrita Pranapana Samayukta Pachamyannam Chaturvidham. Now the second part is Brahman is saying that it is I, in the form of fire of digestion in the stomach of all living beings, combined with the incoming and outgoing breaths, you're breathing, to digest and assimilate Pachamyannam Chaturvidham, food of 4 types. And here I'm not talking of whether Rajas, Tamas or Sattva food. There are 4 types of food that we talk about. What? One which is where you bite it. You bite to eat, which is known as bhojya, that you have to chew it. The other is peya, you got to drink fluids, water. Then is koshya, where you suck. Like one example which comes to mind is sugarcane. You suck sugarcane. Next is lehya, that you lick. You lick honey and other things. So these are the 4 kinds in our Ayurveda also, and all these are the 4 kinds of food. So when you chant this before eating, with full consciousness and understanding what you're telling in, so it is stated that you will not be affected by the food and its ingredients and its preparation. Now you would realize that this is very difficult for small children to chant. It's a long one. So it's a very simple sort of a thing which is taught, which means the same thing. Harir data, harir bhokta, hari annam prajapati, hari vipra sharirasте, bhukte bhojite hari. That the food is Hari, the person who's eating is Hari, the person who's giving the food is Hari, who is going to digest the food is Hari, and everything is Hari. So you're giving everything what you're eating, you're providing it as a prasadam to Hari. So it is said in our scriptures that if you say these prayers before you eat any food anywhere, you will not be affected by all these things. I don't think he followed this. Next, what is the lessons that we can draw from here? First thing, most important, look before you weep. Make sure you know what you're getting into before you accept gifts, because there are no free lunches. He never bothered to check who is the person. And he got trapped. Similarly, be careful of the food you eat and the company you keep. What was the necessity for him to go to the war council every day? No need. When you have a whole Akshauhini, I'm sure you could have got your people to cook your food. You would not have needed to use the Kaurava kitchen. He didn't do that. Another important is you have to be able to say no, refuse trickery. He should have called out Duryodhan for this trickery. Then he may have saved himself. And also never be blinded by chivalry or enforced correctness. Duryodhan had cheated. You got caught by it. Where was the need for you to be chivalrous to Duryodhan? See, we also suffered. Prithviraj Chauhan, when he defeated Muhammad Ghori the first time, he let him go. Next time he was defeated, and rest is history. Dharma does not tell you to accept being fooled or follow a path after being fooled to follow that chap blindly. No. It wants you to have a spine and be strong enough to call a spade a spade. Dharmo rakshati rakshata. Why are you scared to call a spade a spade? And dharma is, see, when we talk of dharma, it is not religion. It's a way of life. What decisions you can take. And like when we do the psychological tests, there is nothing right or wrong in dharma. You cannot repeat the same thing anywhere, every time. No. Based on the environment, based on the situation, you have to choose a path. And if your conscience does not prick you, then you're doing the right thing. Even if it is a hard path, you're doing the correct thing. If your conscience pricks you, you feel uncomfortable, you feel something not correct, then you know that you have chosen the wrong path. That your decision that you took is wrong. Then you should make sure that you are able to correct yourself and repair the damage. Because if you continue down the path, then you will become a Shalya without trying to repair the damage. See, when he knew that Duryodhan was more keen to get the Akshaunis, he should have left the Akshaunis with him and gone off to the Pandavas. What stopped him from doing that?
Like Krishna.
Yeah. He could still have gone there. But he didn't do it. So like that in Mahabharata, when we read, you get a lot of lessons in life from every person. What you should do, what should you not do, what is right, what is not right. When do you think what you're thinking is wrong is right? These are lessons in life which are very interesting, because we have been brought up in a more like a Western cultural society which looks at religion in a different way. Ours is, I would say, again, keep saying everywhere, ours is not exactly a religion. It's a way of life, how you live, what you're going to do. That is more important. So I think this is the last slide.
Yes, indeed. And I just wanted to add a few things to what you just said, General Rajiv. And these are all, again, looking at history and how, you watch that the history is repeating itself. I want to just touch upon two instances. See, Hindu Rashtra, or what we call as today's Bharat, was the same from the days of Mahabharat, 5,000 years ago, up until perhaps the 10th century. And, there were some rules. Hindu kings fought among themselves, but they all observed some rules. Sunrise to sunset is when the fighting took place. Afterwards, nobody fought after that. Second thing is, the fights were always in open ground outside the cities. So the general population did not get affected by it. Also, whom you will kill and whom you will spare, it was very clearly written down. You will not kill women, you will not kill children, you will not kill Brahmins. This was a rule. Everybody followed this thing. Also, the victor and the vanquished, whoever won a particular kingdom, usually the vanquished either became a vassal, he continued to be. Very rarely do you have an instance of the winning king killing the losing king. It is almost always like, okay, you shall be my subject, and then things go on. Not only that, the winning king, whenever he went to a temple, for example, in the territory he won, they respected the local sampradayas. They didn't try to say, in my temple, I used to do it that way. Here also, I want to do the same way. This example was told to me, General Rajiv, by the current descendant of Shivaji Maharaj. His name is VASAVI Bhosle. And he is the king of Tanjore. He is actually responsible for the Brihadishwara temple today. Thoroughly fine gentleman. And he was telling us that 1669 is when the Marathas conquered what is today Tanjore area. And they came there and they saw that, even the king cannot go inside the Garbhagriha. You have to stand outside. And he said, back home in Maharashtra, we actually poured and we can, touch the lingam ourselves. But they respected the local sampradaya. And even today, see, I went to the temple, Brihadishwara temple last year, 31st December. I can remember the date. And Babaji was not there, but his brother was there. Both of us stood outside the Garbhagriha. So this respect for customs was always enshrined. Now, you go back to what happened when Ghazni comes raiding Somnath. In one of the raids, Ghazni is caught alone by the guards of Somnath. But he's in the Garbhagriha. They're about to kill him. The priest says, I cannot have any blood in the Garbhagriha. And this argument goes on, and Ghazni soldiers come in, and the local soldiers get overpowered and killed, and he escapes. Just imagine that one moment, that indecision there. If it was done right, what could have been history?
Very different.
And the same way.
I have always said that while these rules are there, Mahabharata war, if you see it carefully, it is indicative of Krishna passing on. That is why, Krishna is considered a Yuga avatar. None of the other avatars are Yuga avatar. Yuga avatar means the day he leaves the earth, the new Yuga starts. So he is given a certain amount of messaging also out there. What kind of Kaliyuga you will find and how you must change yourself. If you look at all the Maharathis which were on the side of the Kauravas, most of them were killed through deception. Bhishma.
Yes, Drona.
You look at Dronacharya. And the rule was broken for Karna. He had no weapons, but he was killed.
Yes, yes, yes.
Ashwathama and Kripacharya broke the rule of attacking at night and killing all the sleeping soldiers. So there are certain indicators they have been given that for the larger good of the, you can say, dharma, you may need to violate certain rules. But it was the blind following of our rules. Like if the Brahmins had accepted that, okay, you kill him, after that we'll do the fresh puja and everything of the Garbhagriha for the larger good of the dharma, because they knew that wherever he goes, he is pillaging, raping, breaking all our idols, destroying our temples, taking away all the wealth of the temples. For the larger good, do it. Blind following of something also, Krishna has left behind a word in Mahabharata: don't blindly follow. Which
Very
we have
true,
failed.
sir. Very true. Very true.
We have failed to understand. And when Karna tries to tell about dharma, he tells him that you never followed dharma, so you are not going to be, we will not follow dharma with you. This is telling you that if the other side is fighting without following the rules of engagement that you are supposed to have, then there is no need for you to follow the rules of engagement. That lesson we have missed out, I would say, in a large way in understanding the Mahabharata.
Yes, indeed. Very true, sir. And one last thing, and I don't know how accurate this is, but my again recollection from reading Mahabharata from various sources. One of the things is when Drona becomes the commander-in-chief, he starts using all the astras and shastras that he had at his disposal, and the devas come and tell him, you cannot do these things. You cannot be doing all this, and that's when he kind of tampers down. I don't know if you remember that part. If
yes.
Perhaps
there are some astras which are a big no-no to be used, which I would say would be equivalent to today's nuclear weapon and going into a nuclear war. So they have said no to that for the usage unless it is accepted and approved by everybody. Which Dronacharya, just because he had that and he had learnt it from Parshuram, he wanted to use it everywhere. But he is prevented from using it. That is the reason why Drona and Kripa are acharyas, not rishis.
Yes. Very true. Very true. Very true.
Stayed at acharya level, not rishi level. They were only teachers.
If you take the metro from Gurugram to Delhi, you will go through all these places. Dronacharya, Indraprastha, Dwaraka, all these places come.
But I would say it is wrong. Drona was never given Gurgaon area. I still call it Gurgaon. Gurgaon was the area of Khandavprastha, from where Indraprastha was carved out.
Right.
Drona won the Panchal kingdom. He was North Panchal, and South Panchal was what was given to Drupad. The Panchal kingdom was divided in two, and North Panchal is east of Meerut. In which way, from which scripture have they read and said that this is Gurugram, Dronacharya's gram? I really don't know. It is ridiculous. This is Khandavprastha. This was all forested area.
And there are interesting stories about how Dronacharya and Drupad grew together, learning from the same guru. And there's an insult, and there is all stories that come up. Viewers, I can tell you this discussion can go for 24 hours if we just keep going. But we will come back with something similar, compelling life lessons from Mahabharata after maybe a couple of weeks, or after I keep bugging General Rajiv. Let us do research on this. And sir, my naman to you. First of all, people know you as a person who's a military tactician, a person who understands military maneuvers, and I forced you to try and, take something that you probably haven't done. It's not that you can't do it. You are a man of many dimensions. And I'm not doing Mukhastuti, sir. I'm just doing it based on my experience with you. And I'm very happy that we did this thing. Viewers, come on now. You guys have to like this video. What is there not to like? How many of us have learned so many new things that we probably did not know about Mahabharata? So please At least if you have not liked it thus far, please like this video. We have a few questions. Sir, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, did I do that thing on Indian plate tectonics with you?
No.
That is where I'm interested when people talk about it. I'll just give you a glimpse.
Yes.
Pangea, see, in our Vedic timelines, Kal Chakra, we are in the 7th Manvantra of the 50 years of Brahma are over, 100 years, and 51st day, 28th Manvantra. In a day, he sees 71. So we are in the 28th Manvantra. And 28th, and in that, the 7 Manus have gone by. 7th Manvantra. Manu is supposed to be the king who lays down the laws of Vedas and the way of living. It is very easy if the complete landmass was one. If it is broken up, it is very different to spread your word. When you go to plate tectonics, in this cycle, Pangea was the 7th supercontinent. There have been 7 supercontinents, and we have 7 Manus, the link. Next, they broke up into 2, Gondwana land and Laurasia. Gondwana is what is Africa and Eurasia, and Laurasia is what has gone to the Americas. The Indian subcontinent, which was much bigger in that, I'll leave it at that, broke away from the Gondwana land around 180 million years ago. As per archaeologists and other timelines, 180 million years ago was the start of the Jurassic Age, dinosaurs. Would you have civilization? And where was they? They were in Gondwana and Laurasia. So would you have had civilization there? Or would you have had civilization on the Indian landmass, which was not affected by dinosaurs? Because if you're in dinosaurs, then what they say, we were cavemen and hunters. Obviously, you'll stay in a cave to protect yourself from a dinosaur.
Yes.
Then the very interesting thing about Shiv and Parvati's wedding. If people have read the Shiv Puran and Skanda Puran,
I know
the
what you're
earth
talking about.
tilts.
Yeah.
Earth tilts. And Agastya Muni is sent to the south to balance it out. And in that they talk about the Vindhyas being a very high mountain which could block the sun. And when Agastya Muni is going across, the Vindhyas fall at his feet, and he says, "Stay like this till I don't come back."
He never
And he
does.
never went back. Right? Now, if you look at certain Durga Stotra also, like Ayagiri Nandana, in that they talk of Durga as Vindhya who lives in the Vindhyas. Now you take it that the Indian landmass is coming and it slams into the Eurasian landmass. The Indian landmass is not connected to the magma. It's almost about 200 kilometers deep. It is not connected to the magma. Now, and as continents move, plates move, this is supposed to be the Ferrari, the sports car. It has moved very fast. And when it comes very fast and slams into the other, don't you think the earth would have tilted? And with that slamming, the Vindhyas would have fallen. So you get the Satpura range, and between these two in the valley, you get Narmada.
Yes.
Very interesting when you link all this with plate tectonics.
Yes, very true. Very true.
You are so ancient, it runs in the genes of the people in the south, because Central and South India had a whole lot of rivers. Now, what rivers were there in the north which were flowing from the Vindhyas towards the north, we don't know. Because after slamming against the Himalayas, all those geography would have changed.
Correct.
So the Saraswati, the Indus, your Ganga, your Jamuna came much later than the Godavris and the Kaveris, which were there,
Right.
and the Mahanadi and all, which was still there.
So true, sir.
Our civilization is that ancient. It's that ancient.
Very true. Yes. General Rajiv, we have a few questions from our viewers, if you don't mind.
Yes, please. I have no.
Partha wants to know what to make of sage Kakbhrushundi, who says Ramayana played out 11 times and Mahabharata 16 times. Are we going through a 17th Mahabharata?
Partha, sir, look, every Manavantra, the avatars would come in which manner we don't know. Unless the sage, see, these were called seers. He may have seen it. Now, which all times he is referring to, we don't know. It doesn't mean it is in this cycle, in this Dashavatara cycle. It could have been in earlier cycles also, because when you are a seer, when you say past, you can see any number of years past. So like I said, we are in the 7th Manvantara, and in a Manvantara there are 1000 Mahayuga cycles. Now which cycle is he talking about? Would it have been Ramayana only? Or was he talking of Ramayana type? Would they have called Vishnu at that time? Were the same Dashavataras there? Or would they have been different avatars? Because we all know that this cycle takes place. Where in Satyug you have Dharma in all 4 feet. Then Treta it is 3. Dwapar it is 2. And Kaliyuga it is 1. And then you go back. Okay. So in what cycle, in where, what happened? I am nobody to comment on what the sages said. Because what we are seeing is this. What we can see, that this cycle. We are there in this cycle, and in this 7th Manvantara, this cycle, what we are seeing, 28th cycle in the 7th Manvantara. Like a Manu sees 14 cycles, okay, of Chaturyuga, Kal Chakra cycle, all 4 yugas, he sees 14. We are in the 7th. What happened in 6th? I don't know. 5th, 4th, who were we, what were there? So I can't comment. I can't say.
Next one, please. Thank you, Thought Provocateur, for your generous donation. At this date, unknown army will soon conquer Pakistan. RMS wants to know, in a UN report published in 2021, the dam was identified as one of the most world's big dams which need to be decommissioned for being situated in a seismically active area with 3 million lives. This is the second part also. Muliperiyar Dam. Does it affect our southern naval command?
I'm surprised he's talking of this being in a seismic zone. More seismic zone and a much bigger dam is the Three Gorges Dam, which is already bending and God knows when it will break and how many millions of lives will be lost. You're not talking of that?
They have already destroyed many.
I don't believe the UN at all. UN has been bought off and it's a mouthpiece to the largest payer. Whoever pays him the maximum, he'll mouth his words.
Sir, they have been destroying dams upstream to try and save the Three Gorges.
Yeah, but Three Gorges itself, if you look at the photos, if you go to Google Earth, if you look at the old photos and now, the bend has started coming in their dam wall. And that is what is affecting them. There's very heavy silting. It has environmentally destroyed the Yangtze River. In summers, the Yangtze River doesn't even, there's not much of flow into the South China Sea. Yellow River, in any case, they have destroyed during summers. It doesn't flow into the South China Sea. Yangtze, the same thing is happening. And all the sewage comes in there. Chongqing, the people say it stinks because the water has become so bad and all the marine life is gone.
80% of the water that flows through the rivers in China is not even useful for irrigation, leave alone drinking.
Yes, they've destroyed it.
Yeah, very sad. Divine Nature wants to know, why didn't Karna use VASAVI's Kati Astra?
He would have used He may have not thought of using it. I can't say. He had a whole lot of astras, pa. Was he stopped also like Drona was stopped? That way, he was a very, very, very competent warrior at par, and some people say better than Arjun also. But why he didn't use a particular astra in Mahabharat war? How can I say why he didn't? We haven't found out a lot of literature. Remember the burning of Nalanda University. Whole lot of your literature was burnt out there, and it burnt for more than 3 to 6 months. So you can imagine what kind of literature we have lost. That's why we are trying to dig. And quite a lot of it was stolen and taken by the Britishers, and a whole lot by the Germans. Max Muller being the biggest culprit.
Yes.
And we still try to glorify him.
Interesting that, Heidelberg gives you a degree in Sanskrit. Iran gives a degree in Sanskrit. And we have probably BHUIT. I don't know of any other. Maybe there are other universities also who give degrees in Sanskrit. But the fact is that the key jewels are all outside. Some even in the Tibetan language. There was a video by Rajiv where he's actually funding research to try and decode the Tibetan scriptures, which are... Yeah, go ahead, sir.
Yes, because what has happened is that your scriptures in Sanskrit have been burnt. But quite a lot of these scriptures were translated into Tibetan and taken there. And some have been translated from Tibetan into Japanese.
Yes.
Reiki is from India. It was translated into Tibetan, and the Reiki master, the Japanese who comes there, he has taken that, translated it into Japanese, and that is what has come back to India as Reiki. So you will get a lot if you reach out to the Tibetan monasteries and all. You can again retranslate it back into Sanskrit.
Yes. That work is also happening
a lot. Even NASA and the nuclears and others, nuclear scientists and all, are referring to the Vedas.
Yes.
To get something new. Yes. And here we look down upon it. If you read Vedas, you are considered low grade. I'm surprised.
Viewers, I hope you guys watched my interview with a 23-year-old boy, Siddharth Vishwanathan, who learned his schooling from a Gurukul. He didn't go to formal school. Everything in Gurukul. And his specialty is Vyakaran, Samskrita Vyakaran. And I hope you have watched that interview, 39 minutes, but it's absolutely fascinating how he breaks things down and how he says that understanding the Vyakaranam of Panini's Sanskrit. Remember, Sanskrit is refined. What was it refined? Prakrit was refined as Sanskrit. You have to go back and understand why he names the version of Prakrit as Sanskrit, Panini, because he has refined the language. He made it so beautiful. Every rule that you can think of, already defined. All we have to do is learn Sanskrit. You have the power of the world in your hands. Of course, it is my age. At my age, it is difficult for me. You can't teach an old dog new tricks. But I'm hoping that the youngsters, some of you, your interest is piqued. Go to any temple, you'll see scriptures. These are on Brahmi or Devanagari. And it's not too difficult. You just have to go back and understand. Thoda kam lagta hai, lekin there's a treasure in every temple you visit, especially in the south, because the northern temples have been destroyed.
The old Sanatan Dharma temples you will find in south. Yeah, yes. See, Vishnu Prabhu, this Shalya is different. Like I say, when we try to write history and not itihas, you mix up with names.
Right.
I am a Rajiv. Indira Gandhi's son was also Rajiv. My nephew's name is also Rajiv. Somebody else will also be a Rajiv. The name, don't go by the name. Go by the person. So Shalya Chikitsa is based on Ayurveda. That is different. This person is different, who was the king of Madra, who came from Madra. So like I said, like in our history, we talk of Ashoka, so we think of Maurya dynasty. No. Samudragupta, there also was called Ashoka. So the names keep repeating. Everybody repeats the name. There is a limited number of names. Somebody likes a particular name, you will keep repeating it. So does that change the history? That no, he was not a king. He was he was a doctor.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't.
Next one, please. Sanjay wants to know, Jai Hind, Major General Rajiv ji, I would request you to speak on Vidur and neeti as per Veda Vyasa.
As you wish, I will do my further research on it, and because I have to bring it down to a level where we can understand.
Guys, don't forget the first few lines of the Mahabharat, the TV version. Katha hai Purusharth ki, Swarth ki, Paramarth ki. There's a lot that is said in that one line. Next question, please.
Yeah.
Next line, please. The next question, I'm sorry. P.S. Ramachandran wants to know, he did not tell the lie, but only told that he's a charioteer's son who is not Kshatriya, as Parashuram had a grudge against Kshatriya.
No. Ramachandran ji, Parshuram was teaching only and only Brahmins.
Yeah.
And he went there and said he is a Brahmin son, a poor Brahmin son. He didn't even say he is a charioteer's son. It was when that hornet bit into his thigh very deep and blood started to flow, Parshuram realized that he is a Kshatriya. What makes you think that a charioteer's son is not a Kshatriya? Shalya was also an excellent charioteer. He was also the charioteer. So just because he's a charioteer, he can't be a Kshatriya. Remember, please, we make the mistake of what the Britishers has left us. That is your birth which matters. No. Varna is based on your capability. Varna is not caste. I am born Brahmin. But what is my Varna? I am a Kshatriya. I've served in the army. I've fought as a soldier in one of the wars. So, as a Varna, I am a Kshatriya. If I go by the British version, I am a Brahmin. But sorry, that is not what our Bharatvarsh is all about. Varna is your capability. So that's why I say, just because a person is a charioteer's son, doesn't mean he cannot be a Kshatriya. We are imposing what the Britishers have left into our quest, into our itihas.
So your guru decided, again, my interpretation, General Rajiv, your guru decided what it is that you were good at in Gurukul.
Yes,
and that,
it in the Gurukul they decided.
Yes. And that's why they say, right, Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Deva Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma. Tasmai Shri
Guruve Namah. Bilkul.
Thank you, KSV Prasad. Rajiv Garu, I view you across different channels. I see you as a person who blends into all the varnas of our Dharma.
I can say I'm a Shudra also. I'm good at hand tinkering and other things. I can do some electrical things, this, that.
I think we are coming up to the last couple of questions now. Next one, please. H.C. Kumaraswamy wants to know, as the yuga is moving to the end, it is heard that humans will become dwarfed. So to climb, we have to use ladders to climb a 𝗤𝙗𝘃 flower, which is offered to Lord Shiva. Let's have your comments. I think his video has frozen. Yeah, he's rejoined again. Just 1 second.
I've come back.
Yeah. So the question is, can we read the question, please? Can we have the question again, please?
I'll close this on my laptop because this is more stable.
Sir, I'll read the question, sir.
I can read it. I can read it.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It's heard that humans will get dwarfs, so at every yuga the height has changed. You can say that we have reached the dwarf level. Lord Rama was supposed to be almost about 14-15 feet tall. I've been to Kalibangan, which is about how much? At the present time, about close to 5,000 years old. 2800 BC plus it goes to. For reasons best known to the government, it has not been inaugurated as yet. 3 skeletons were found: a full-grown man, adult, his wife, and a teenage son. Based on the skeleton, size of the skeleton, they have identified what would be the height. The man was between 7 to 8 feet tall. The woman was about 7 feet tall. And the teenage son was 6 feet tall. And I'm talking of 2800 BC on the Ghaggar, which is actually the floodplains of Saraswati, old Saraswati. See, it destroys the Aryan invasion theory of 1500 BC because this dates to 2800 BC and beautifully laid out cities akin exactly the way Mohenjo-daro, Harappa and all have been laid out. So, we are already dwarfed. That's what I'd say. We are already dwarfed. And you do need ladders. If your tumbled flowers are much higher, you will need a ladder to go up and pick it up.
Yes, yes. And what a session it was. And viewers, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. And also, we want to encourage General Rajiv to come up with such fantastic research and share with us. There is a thing that I find about General Rajiv. He loves to read. How many of us actually love to read? This is a rare quality, and I think that is why I kept pushing him. We have been talking about Shalya for months now. He said, let's do this, and there are so many other pressing matters for him, and he's also very busy with IIT's professor of practice. But I'm glad this thing came about today. General Rajiv, words fail me. This is something fantastic, and viewers, I hope you understand and agree with me that these are the kind of things that we should be talking at PGurus. I'm very happy that this happened, and we'll be having more such events to come in the near future. Thank you once again, sir.
Yeah, I will try and do that session about the movement, tectonic shift and other things.
Yes. We have to understand Jambu Dvipa.
Antiquity of India.
Yes,
Bharat.
yes.
The antiquity of Bharat. How old we are. Some people say 10,000, some people say 1 lakh. I'd like to lay down the platform and then build from there and say how old you are. And well, people can go back to whichever date and say, but you are much more ancient, very, very ancient. People don't know. There are 7 sunken Dwarkas around 𝗤𝗚𝘅. And the oldest, that video is already out from History TV channel. I saw it in History TV channel in 2011. The oldest one, it's a beautiful laid out city, almost about 30 nautical miles away from 𝗤𝗚𝘅. Dates to between 30,000 to 40,000 BCE. We don't know about our own Bharat.
Yes. And I've also heard, General Rajiv, that in some of these sunken cities, there are depictions that tell you about an alien invasion during the time of Krishna, if I remember correctly, where they are fighting humans and things like that. I've heard something. I haven't gone back and looked at it in more detail.
People keep talking of alien. Haven't we heard about people going from Earth to help gods to fight the asuras?
Yes. Very true. Same thing. Yes.
Sage Muchkunda was sleeping in the cave, became the death for Kaliyuga because he had gone to help Indra. By the time he came down, everything was over. So he said, let me be in deep sleep, and whoever wakes me up, when I look at him, he'll burn. And that's how Kaliyuga got burnt.
Thank you so much, sir. And viewers, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to click on the bell button for notifications. Namaskar.
Namaskar. Thank you, sir.